Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit, the dragon. I'm gonna get killed. Ah! And Fenrir. Oh dude, Fenrir. That's gonna be a fuck as well. Fuck. It's the whole game.
Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, welcome to another video. This is Mythic Halls of Valor, and we'll just be going through this really quickly. So stay tuned and let's see what bosses we down. Hint, all of them.
It is good to be healing a non-demon hunter. Because then it's like, well, the health doesn't go, it's like very much stable and not up and down, up and down.
That's just us mucking around a bit in Mumble. Yeah. So anyway, here's the first boss. It's Heimdall. He's basically got two mechanics. There's drakes that will cover up the lanes. So all you really have to do is frogger it a bit and avoid the lane that the drake is in. He'll also throw axes, which are kind of like the warrior axes that spin on the ground. Anyway, basically stay out of shit. That's basically the fight. Otherwise it's just tank and spank. So this one didn't go too smoothly. Like, our healer was a dum-dum and died right away. And oh yeah, there's little twister things. Avoid those as well. I think he got a battle res, I'm not sure. Anyway, pew pew. So this is, I think, one of those fights where you can really like focus in on your rotation because there isn't a lot of movement. And there goes the healer again. Anyway, yeah, so it's mostly tank and spank, and there isn't a lot of tank damage. So if the healer's good, which this one isn't, they can probably throw in a couple of damage, a bit of damage as well, because there isn't, as I said, a lot of tank damage. The tank was able to survive most of that without, sorry, that's my phone, without dying. And again, if the DPS are good as well, they can avoid most of the damage as well. I, on the other hand, not so much, because I died at the end, but we won't mention that. Let's not talk about it. I would have lived if I had a heal. This isn't probably as informative because there isn't a lot going on. But it's Mythic. Hopefully it's harder later. So that's the breadth I was talking about. It came bottom and then it came top, but it's completely random, so you have to just watch out for it. There's essentially 3 lanes, but it's good to stick between 2 of the lanes. That way you can just kind of move back and forth. There's also a bit of a trick where if you see that pillar in the top left corner right now, where I'm viewing, you can kind of just tank the boss there with the tanks back to the pillar. And they just need to strafe that way. That's an option. Anyway, this is the second boss. This is actually kind of a mini boss. So each of these guys, this one and the one in the back that you can see, they've got 1 ability each. So with this one, they cast a spell and they also do this thing. With these, you just avoid them, but if you don't, it kind of spirals downhill because anytime anyone gets hit, the whole group gets hit, and if everyone avoids it, then there is obviously no damage. So you kind of need the whole group to be avoiding. You can immunity out of it if you're not that good, which for me, I kind of just save that for the actual boss, and I just kind of cloak of shadows it and keep attacking. But obviously these are little tricks that you kind of either pick up once you know your class a little bit better. But and I guess the other thing is you kind of figure these out now in like heroics and mythics, so you can do even better in Mythic Plus when that comes out in a couple of weeks, 2 weeks. And then this mini boss is basically does that AoE storm and you get in the bubble. It's not that hard. There's really no so like in Throne of Thunder, I think it was, the boss did that, and if you sit in the thing, you got like a haste decrease, debuff thing. But with this one, there's no real detriment to staying in the bubble, so just stand in the bubble and PP. Although I guess for melee, if they're attacking from front, they're like a bit of damage, but that's not really a big deal. So the reason I left these 2 mini bosses in and haven't really left much else in is simple, because it's easier to see these abilities on the mini bosses, and then the boss fight, the boss has both of these abilities as well as a stacking buff, and it loses the buff every time you drag it from one side to the next. So depending on what side she's on, she'll have one of those abilities. So a good trick might be to stand on this side, for example, and she's only got chained to one of them, as you can see, and she'll only do the abilities from this side. And then once she's done that, you just drag her over to the other side and deal with the abilities on that side. The reason you can't really keep her in the middle is because I said she does have a stacking buff. So if you just kept her in the middle, it would be too hard for the tank to mitigate and the healer to heal through. So she did that ability and the tank just kind of dragged her to the other side. This is an added ability which the healer has to watch out for. So whoever has it, they run out of the group. Once they're out of the group, then the healer dispels. Don't dispel in the group, bad stuff happens. So I kind of panicked here, I don't know what I was doing, and I guess I kind of just stood in the back. I probably should have kept attacking, but on the plus side, I've got my cloak for, I think I got my cloak. Do I have my cloak? I may or may not have my cloak for the next one. So I'm moving left and the healer kind of derps it and runs into me and then dispels. Bad healer, bad. Bad. So other than that, there's just a couple of mechanics on each side, as you can see, and it's fairly straightforward. Basically just don't stand in the bad, avoid the bad, interrupt the bad, and if you have the bad, then spread out from the bad. All of the bad. Baddie bad bad. I was trying to vanish here with sprint. I figured the crit from that would have been better than trying to throw my little throwing knife things. Anyway, that's that boss. Easy enough, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And that's it. So the next little boss has 2 parts. Make your way, you follow the little footprints. It'll leave footprints because it's random as to where it starts off. And you just follow those and burst them down a bit. It's kind of not really a boss, but more of a mini boss that becomes a boss. So you kill him here. He's got a couple abilities. He'll charge around, but before that he'll telegraph it. So you'll get a debuff and you just spread out, because if you're stacked then he'll charge to everyone who's in the stack and people will take more damage, but if you're spread out then you'll only get hit once. He'll also spawn ads. They don't really need to be worried about, because once he charts loose around like he just did there, they'll get hit. For the first part, he doesn't really spawn ads though, so you don't even have to worry about that. Anyway, you make your way through to second half of him. Second and yeah, and it's basically the same abilities. Pew pew. He does gain one additional ability where he'll target one specific person, and depending on how good your team is, that person needs to either run but not into ads, careful, don't pull any other stuff, or alternatively, if they're good and the healer's good, they can pop a defensive and the healer can just heal through it. For this group, we chose to kite because this group wasn't quite as good. It was a pug group. So, yes. Probably should have sprinted or shadow stepped, but meh. These are little things that you pick up once you watch yourself playing as opposed to actually playing. But yeah. So that's his charge thing that he does, spread out a lot, as I mentioned. I'm actually really, by the way, enjoying this expansion. I'm playing as a DPS and especially as a rogue. They say that sub is supposed to be simming lower than the other specs, but because Outlaw is so RNG based, I'm keeping up with quite a few Outlaw rogues, and because Assassination, it really just tunnels, I can usually keep up with them as well. And add to the fact that I'm much more mobile than both of them. I feel that in an actual setting, I'm not that far behind, if at all. I'd say my damage is competitive, but that's just me. I mean, I am the most mobile class, if not top 3. Okay, so again, there's a couple of mini bosses. All they do is they do a shout, which needs to be interrupted, and they also spawn little ads that walk towards them. So depending on the group, you can just kite the big guys so the little ads never reach them, and only do that if your damage is high enough. If your damage is really low, better to switch the ads and kill them. And if you're struggling but not too much, like they're just dying barely in time when the ads reach, you can probably just CC. The ads I usually just toss either a blind, or can't really do that consistently, so just a 5 combo point kidney shot. And that's usually enough to take down the big guys. Skip. Alright, so there's quite a bit of RP roleplay here, so you just kind of sit through that. I probably should have cut it out, but you can sit there here. You do it in the game, you can do it here. With this boss, basically as a melee, you just kind of stay in the bad. That's gonna be a reoccurring theme. I've noticed that I don't really have to deal with a lot of shit or a lot of mechanics. Oh yeah, there's that. He'll do like an AoE. Depending on how you're going, you can cloak it or just move. One thing to watch out for is this boss is quite a bit, I think, easier, like lower health and fewer mechanics than the next boss. And coupled with the fact that you get a damage boost on the next boss, probably save your cooldowns and do as I say, not as I do. So their ads, as you saw, they're fairly squishy, so we just kind of had the range deal with them. Otherwise you have to cut. Hello. Otherwise you'd have to cut quite a bit, so it's not worth it. Even with like a single weak link, you can kind of see the difference in this run and some of the other runs, and not like some of them, like actually most of them, we barely scrape by, and that usually happens if you've got a weak tank or a, I guess in this case, a weak healer. So once you beat him, you get to fight Odin. So this is actually a really cool fight in that they've wanted to really show Odin's strength level. So this is kind of like Heimdall, like the first boss, in that you don't actually beat him, he kind of just concedes, so you only really have to get him to like 80%. So there's a couple of mechanics. He'll do an AoE swirl, which spawns a hammer, and the hammer releases those ball things. So basically, reoccurring theme, avoid shit on the ground. He'll also spawn an ad, which does, it has a cast, so that needs to be interrupted. That's like top priority. He also does this AoE swirl mechanic thing. Just run out of it. I like to sprint out of it because it puts me back into vanish, so I get a free vanish. And then after a bit you'll get these runes on your head, so you gotta just match the rune on the ground to the one on your head, and you'll become this Valkyrie thing, and you get a nice big damage boost. And that's usually the time to pop your cooldowns along with Bloodlust if you have it. As you can see, we had a mage, so we had a proper Bloodlust, otherwise I usually carry hammers, drums with me. That actually wasn't a derp there, like I meant to not run out. Basically what I did was I Cloak of Shadowed that one, so with the first one I got a free vanish out of it, and the second one I got to stay on the boss and do damage, and it was actually extra damage in the sense that I had the buff on me. So as the fight progresses, as you can see, it gets harder and harder because the hammers all kind of just stay there and do more pulsing AoE ground clutter. So it started with 1 which put out 3, and then we had 2 which put out 6, and then 3 which put out 9, like here, and it's just fun. I did lose quite a bit of DPS running around at that, but I'd rather do that and live and do more damage over the course of the fight than to die. So as you can see, there's a lot of stuff going on. Usually this one doesn't take quite this long. I think some of the damage isn't quite up there with this group, but luckily we managed to get it in the end. So once you get it to 80%, you get the win, and that's the fight. Anyway, thank you for tuning in, and if you found that helpful at all as a melee, or as anyone in general, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, leave some hugs, and if you've got any questions, leave those as well. Anyway, have a good one, and good night.